Well, g'day everybody and welcome to Browse the Bookshop with Tom. I'm your host today, Tom, and we're here at Reformers Bookshop. We thought we'd do this. Everyone's apparently locked out. We've closed our store to in-store customers. We're still shipping orders out all over Australia and New Zealand, which is good. Lots of books are getting out there, but you can't come in and see our shop, so we figured we would do something like this and see how it goes and show you some books that you might see as if you walked into our store, and we'll see how it goes. Our plan is, well, I've got a little stack of books here that we can have a look at, but feel free to get on the comments and ask us any questions you have, book recommendations, questions about anything that you like in terms of books, and we'll see how we can help you out. Our store is still operating at the moment. Everything changes day by day, but you can always give us a call on our phone line or message us on Messenger if you want to know what books to get. And our website's operating. We're shipping plenty of orders out, so we can hopefully still serve you at an interesting time like this. So let's begin. Let me show you some new books that we have here. This one here, hey, I didn't know if you knew this. It's Easter soon. Did you know that? I think we've all forgotten. But Easter, as always, is a great time to consider the cross, the crucifixion of Christ and the resurrection. And Sinclair Ferguson has put out what they call a Lent devotional. I think we're well past when Lent started, but you can still pick it up and read it. And have your thoughts drawn to the cross at this time where our thoughts are all over the place, thinking about viruses. It's a wonderful thing to actually look at the cross and see what Christ did for us, and to remember his resurrection, his victory over sin and death and disease and all these things. And Sinclair Ferguson does a great job here of going through the Gospel of Luke and really bringing the text to life, telling you about Jesus' road to Jerusalem and his death on the cross and his resurrection, and showing you the joy of it all and the amazement that we should feel when we look at Christ crucified. So I really encourage you to get that one. And have a look at that. I think we might even have that on discount at the moment. Do we, Andrew? Do you want to have a look? If not, maybe we'll put it on anyway. Have a look anyway. Let us show them there. Got another one here that I want to talk to you about. This, we've all gone virtual in our churches. A lot of us. It's made me think a lot about what it means to meet physically. And this book here is a new one that's just come out by Tim Chester. It's called Truth We Can Touch. And it's about the sacraments, baptism and the Lord's Supper, which are fascinating things, really, when you think about it, because the Christian faith is one of the mind. We're to renew our minds, we're to think properly, we're to believe things. It's one of the word. We're to hear things and process what we're hearing, and it's a logical faith, it's a rational faith in many ways. And yet, God gives us two things, two sacraments that we are gifted with, blessed with, baptism and the Lord's Supper, and they're intensely physical things. You get dunked in water or sprinkled with water, depending on your particular view. You get bread that you eat and wine that you drink, these physical things that God's given us. And really we are body and soul and mind and spirit. We're enfleshed spirits. That's a very important part of how God's made us. And there's actually a new book that's come out on the incarnation. It's called Veiled in Flesh. And that's something true about what happened to Jesus. He took on a physical body. And so in our world where we can so easily go virtual and digital, it's something I would encourage you to think about at this time, and this book's a great way to do it, to just ponder the the physicality of our faith and the fact that God has given us these two physical sacraments, and He's given them to us for good reason, with important benefits and gifts that He gives in those sacraments. And Tim Chester has been thinking about this, I think, for about 10 years or so, and he's just put together his thoughts in this book. And I think it's important for us to consider these things, particularly at this time. A couple more books here that I'd like to show you. I don't know how this relates to coronavirus. Perhaps it doesn't, so we'll just go. These are not coronavirus related, but productivity. There's been a few different productivity books that have come out over the years. Tim Challies' Do More Better and What's Best Next by Matt Perman. But these two have come out recently and look really good. I've started this one. It's called Ploductivity by Douglas Wilson. Great little pun there. I like it. And his point in this book is that I'll read you the quote. It's great. Plod, don't sprint, he says. Be fruitful like a tree, not efficient like a machine. Use the gifts that God has given you. And his idea is that you should just plod at things, and you should see all the different technologies and tools that we have at our disposal as a gift that God's given you to be fruitful. And so aim for fruitfulness by plodding. I think his life has shown you that he started reading very early on in his life and just putting away knowledge and foundations and a groundwork for his future productivity. And so he's plodded along, and now if you look at him, I think he writes a book a week, that guy. And there's many people like that. I mean, even Sinclair Ferguson seems to be pumping out books like there's no tomorrow, and he's just plodded away over the years, and now he's being fruitful like a tree. And that's a good thing for us to emulate. This one here I have not started reading yet, but it comes highly recommended. R. Kent Hughes did the foreword, and Brandon Crowe, the author, is from Westminster Theological Seminary. So that would be worth looking at too. If productivity is something that you're interested in, everyday matters, you can see that's a similar theme, right? Plod away every day to be productive in your life. Actually, by the way, I should mention Truths We Can Touch. Truth We Can Touch. We've got a book review that James Jeffrey, a local Sydney guy, has put together. Andrew will show you that on the screen. Go to our blog and check out the review from him. And we'll have a special on that book soon too, so keep an eye out for that. Next, Post-Christian. This is a book by Jean-Edward Veith. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He has thought over many years about culture and how Christianity impacts and should integrate with culture. And this book really is his work putting together how our culture has moved and how our culture has become post-Christian. And what I have seen so far in my flickings through of this book is that he actually shows you how to engage with that culture from a Christian perspective. He gives you ideas as to how can we speak into a post-Christian culture where we feel like we're the outsiders, and so many aspects of what we believe in our worldview have changed, and so we now can't even really connect with people because your foundations and your fundamental ideas are different to theirs. You might say something's family, but someone outside of the Christian faith has an entirely different view of family to you, and so you're sort of crossing each other. And how do you actually engage? He looks at that there, and Mark Powell has done a review for us on that one that you can also see on our website, and we've currently got this on special at a crazy price of $24. So snap that one up. It's a great. It looks heavy, but he writes really well, and it's broken up nicely, so you can even read different parts of it that you're interested in, whether it's technology or science or the sexual revolution and spiritual, not religious thing. Those different aspects of the post-Christian world that you can engage with. All right, let's have a look at another one. This is not new in the newest sense of the word, but it did come out late last year. It's pretty hefty. This is Puritan, the documentary, and it comes in this deluxe pack. You might look at it as fairly pricey. I think we've got it on special at the moment for about $180. But before you balk at that, it comes with a 2-hour documentary, which is really good, really worth looking at, showing you how the Puritans' theology and how their life is such a useful and maybe even exemplary example of how a Christian should live. But then I think the real gold comes with these. It's got 2 DVDs with 35 different 10 to 20 minute talks on the Puritans on different aspects. So it's got the Puritans on evangelism, the Puritans on marriage, the Puritans on family. It's got little biographies with Mark Dever telling about Richard Sibbes, or Derek Thomas telling about John Bunyan, or Ian Hamilton about Samuel Rutherford. It's got these great little clips. So if you're stuck at home, which many of us are, if you've got kids at home, these are short enough that kids could watch and be engaged in. It's a great little idea for family worship, even to break it up, to watch one of these biographies or little clips on how the Puritans thought about different subjects as a family. We've done that a couple of times, and yeah, it's a great way to be challenged in your Christian walk, to live all of life to the glory of God like the Puritans did. So that one's worth picking up if you get a chance. Okay, I want to tell you about another couple of books, actually. Caring for one another. We plugged this a lot last year, and maybe the year before. I think it was 2018, this one. Yeah. But I cannot recommend this book highly enough. Ed Welch will help you in this book to think about how you can engage with the lives of other people's, with their sufferings and their joys and their trials. And I think particularly at this time, something that this whole coronavirus mess has made me think about is how can we engage with other people when we can't meet together on a Sunday. You have to be much more intentional about calling someone up and asking them how they're going, because you can't just see their face to see how they're going. You can't just bump into them at church and have that remind you to talk to them. You have to be more intentional than that. And so I think this book would be a good one to prompt your thoughts about how to care for your fellow church members and your friends, and talk to them and lean into their struggles or their joys at this time, and engage with them and pray with them. So that's a really short little book that'll help you think about that. And this book, I think, is in our book club recommendations. Our book club at church has just called me this morning to ask me to get them set up online, so you can still continue your book clubs, and we've got some great book club deals. You can go to our website and have a look at a list of different books that you can do with your book club. The last one I want to show you, it might be two actually, but yeah, this one here in particular. So this whole lockdown, I think, as well, has got us pushed into our family units, and we're having to do more things as family. So we did a video that we just put up online that you can have a look at from Joel Beakey, the interview we did with him last year about family worship And I think family worship is something that you should really use this lockdown period to build a really good, godly habit on. And he's got his family worship Bible guide, which you can have a look at. That's on special at the moment as well to encourage you. But this book here, The Household and the War for the Cosmos by C.R. Wiley, will help you to think about how being locked at home with your family and growing your faith with your family might not be such a bad thing. It might help you to think more about how the family is such an important building block, and even command center is the word that C.R. Wiley would use, from which to launch the Christians' attack on the world, if you like, to take over the world through simple family devotions and worship together, and family faith, practicing your Christian walk together with your wife and your kids, or whatever your household looks like. So I think that this would be a great book for you to read at the moment as well, for you to think about as you're locked down in your house. And actually, if you're interested to hear a bit more about that book and perhaps how it might relate to culture and how the Christians can engage, you can have a look at our podcast, our bookcast that we did with Mark Erngy earlier on. That's on our website as well. That's a great one. Sorry, Andrew's just flicked me another little book that's worth looking at, that we can have a look through. Okay, because one of the things we just sent out an email earlier today, actually, that you should have a look at, with a bunch of books that to help you. Some looking at family worship, like we've just been talking about. Some looking at God and the gospel. I think we should have our thoughts on him, much like Sinclair's book. But one of the categories we had was anxiety, because I think with all this uncertainty in the air and things changing every day, people can be becoming more anxious. I've felt that a little, and our kids can as well. And so that's where this book's so useful. David Powlison has put together this book called Zoe's Hiding Place. This is part of a series of books where biblical counselors seek to apply biblical truths to the lives of kids. And in this book, Zoe, a little mouse, is fearful and anxious, and these beautiful illustrations and this story unfolds where her dad encourages her to look to God and to find her strength and courage in him and to trust in him. And she grapples with that and works through what that might look like, struggles with her fear and anxiety even more, but finds hope and comfort in the promises of God's word. So that's a great one to have a look at if your kids are struggling with this time, to encourage them in that area. So this is good if you I don't know how many people we have online, but if you have any questions, feel free to send them through. Otherwise, we are always available on Messenger and over our phone, and you can have a look on our website and browse for books on there. Have a look at the materials that we've been putting together for you, lists of books and specials and video content that we hope you'll find helpful. But this has been a great chance to sit down and talk to you and about some good new books that are coming out. Hopefully I've given you some ideas as to what might be good to read at this time. And hopefully, if we don't get locked down even more, hopefully we'll see you next time for another episode of Browse the Bookshop with Tom. And keep safe, everyone. God bless.